Hi.
Hi. What are we doing here today?
Making face masks
We're going to sew face masks today.
to show you guys how to stay safe.
Or just to make a face mask.
Be cool.
Yeah. All right. So the first thing you're definitely going to need is to make a template. I just used a piece of paper. It's basically like a profile shot of the side of someone's face. This is supposed to be the top of the nose and this is the chin. This is an adult size one.
I need a tiny one because I'm
Well, for the
small.
tiny ones, I basically just fold the paper in to make it smaller.
DIY.
Yep.
Do it yourself.
I just fold the paper in to change the sizes. And then if I'm doing a bigger one, I basically just like add a ½ inch to an inch around depending. So I have like a medium size head. So I use my head
I have a tiny
as
head.
my start. So you're gonna need to create a template. You're gonna need scissors. You're gonna need pins. You're gonna need fabric. You can use cotton. You can use multiple layers of cotton or a thicker cotton like a flannel. You're going to need a sewing machine and you're going to need elastic. So we're going to start the next process.
Achoo!
Okay, so you're going to use your paper template to cut out fabric. I already have some of my printed fabric cut out in the shape, and so you're going to need 2 parts for each one, because basically what you're creating is 2 parts to the face mask.
And it can be any design you like.
Yeah, you can use different fabrics. We got ours at Joann's. Some of them are more fun than others.
But sometimes it's good to stay inside if you have fabric at home.
Or you can order online.
Yeah, if you don't,
You don't
want
have to go out to the store.
to see it.
You can, or you can reuse clothing that you have.
Like cutting it up.
Yep, for fun. Stuff that you don't want to keep anymore. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to have your 2 sides facing, right sides facing each other. And we're going to cut this out because we're going to have 2 layers. So we have the outside layer and the inside layer. You can either use flannel for the inside layer or maybe 2 layers of a lighter cotton.
Wow.
Wow. Okay, so now we have both the halves of the outer layer and the inner layer. So we're basically going to lay them on top of each other, right sides facing in, so that when we sew them, our seam is on the inside and we don't see them. And now we're going to pin them together. Okay, once you have your sides facing one another pinned together, you're ready to sew your first seam stitch. So you're going to connect the 2 parts along the curved edge on both your outer layer and your inner layer. On the outer layer, I'm going to do an extra serging stitch because I don't want this fabric to fray.
Wow.
Ooh.
Fancy.
Our sides are together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a serging stitch to reinforce the edges on the left side, the right side, and then we're gonna do one right down here for part of the middle, okay? And that's because the sides are where our elastic is gonna be, and we don't want them to fray and eventually like come apart.
It's coming together.
Yes, literally.
So funny. Looks so different.
It does. Okay, so now we are going to be joining the inner layer and the outside layer of the mask pieces. Reminders for while you're sewing. Make sure you're sealing your stitches by going backwards at the beginning and the ends, and make sure that you're trimming all your excess threads so they don't get caught up.
Needles.
Now Lucy, pay attention. This is the hardest part of putting this mask together.
Okay.
Say why.
Why?
Why? Because you have to pin it a specific way. We need to leave openings, number one, to be able to flip it to having the right sides out, and number two, having spaces on the sides to add the elastic. So I'm gonna point out with my scissors what our no sew zones are going to be. So you don't want to sew here in this little area right here, because a piece of elastic's gonna go there. You don't want to sew here. That's a no sew zone, because your elastic.
Rhymes. No sew zone.
You don't want to sew here, because this is where you're gonna flip it. You don't want to sew over here, because again, elastic. You don't want to sew here for elastic.
Oh, really?
Yes. Okay. Okay, so we went ahead and we stitched it, and we have these areas still open. We did not stitch our...
We followed our own rules.
We did, because we're rule followers.
Not always.
All right, so Lou, now we flip it. See? So now all of our seams are going to be...
It looks professional.
Does it?
Yes.
Nice. So we're gonna flip it and we're gonna smooth it out. So now you have your mask base completely sewn together. You have it flipped and formed so that you can sew a stitch around the outside, and by sewing a stitch around the outside, it's gonna give it more shape and hold it together better. But you're not gonna sew
the no sew zones.
Yep, so you're still gonna leave these open. It should be noted here that you have two options when sealing up your mask by doing a seam around it. You can leave this opening open, and then if you leave it open, you have the option to be able to add an extra filter to the inside. I like adding the extra filter to the inside for two reasons. Number one, it's an extra layer of protection. This is a carbon filter piece that I cut into a triangle shape, and when I put it in there, it really helps give the mask shape, and it creates a hollow point to give it so that the mask isn't completely like resting on your face the whole time. It gives it a lot more space and shape. So I like having that as an option. If you do not want to add a filter, you can just pin this together and seal this up while you're doing a seam line around it. But what can't you seal up?
The no sew zones.
Yep, for the elastic. You can't sew up these corners. Okay, so we've already done a stitch around the whole outside area of the mask. We've left these areas open for our elastic, and I've made the choice of leaving this opening open so that I can add my carbon filter at the end.
Extra protection.
True. The next step is to pleat the mask, and the purpose of pleating the mask is number one, to give it more shape, and number two, so that it will fit snugly on your face. Okay, so we've done our pleats pinning to give it more shape and have it so it rests closer to your face. So I've done two pleats. I have them folded downwards on both sides. So you want your pleats to go the same direction, and you want everything to be symmetrical. So by folding the mask in half, you can make sure that your pleats are matching up, and so that you're creating the same amount of space to be covered on each side of your face. Does that make sense, Lucy?
Yes.
Great. All right, so we have our mask sewn. We have our pleats in place. And when I sewed my pleats in, I made sure to not sew the
No sew zones.
no sew zones. And I've trimmed up my thread so that I don't have little pieces of thread hanging everywhere. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to add our elastic. I am adding approximately 8 inches of thin elastic. The reason I'm adding 8 inches is because I'm not making this for someone specific. I want it to be adjustable. If I was making it for someone specific, I might be able to like save on elastic by being like, oh, you have a tiny head.
Like me.
You don't need that much elastic. But since I don't know who I'm making this for at this moment, I'm just making it. I'm going to make it with...
Being a nice person, making it for someone.
Maybe. So this is a threading tool. Basically what you do is you add your elastic, or you could use ribbon or whatever. You clamp on it. You use this little ring.
It's like a chomper.
It is a chomper. You stick it down. Then you stick it in the hole that you want your elastic to run through. And since I still have an opening, I get to use my opening to help me thread my elastic. If you don't still have an opening, you'll still be able to do it. It just might take a little bit more time. Okay. All right, so we have our elastic added. I like to leave mine open until whoever is getting the mask gets it, and then they can just tie a knot in it to have it be adjustable to their face, to how they want it to fit around their ears.
Yep.
Final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of carbon filter, I'm going to put it inside of our mask, and then that's when it really has a nicer shape.
It really folds around your face.
Yeah. So Lucy, what have you thought of this process?
Very fun and interesting. Especially if you have someone to do it with.
Oh yeah? Did you have fun?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad we got to do this together. Are you gonna try and make one by yourself now? Do you think you could make one by yourself?
Probably if I watched this video like 5 times.
Maybe. Maybe.
You saw how I was trying to make that, and it was...
Yeah, but you just gotta use the sewing machine slowly, and then you get it. So, the filter's all in, then you kind of just fold it. It has a nice shape now, and it can be fitted.
Could it fit me?
Sure.
Let me try.
It's a little bit big. So, this is Lucy.
Hi.
And I'm Rebecca. Good luck sewing your face mask.
Stay